Maya Angelou once said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. What do you do when you see a red flag? Find out now on the Teacher Says podcast. Hello, beautiful, wonderful, fabulous people. Welcome back to another fun-filled episode of the Teacher Says podcast. Hooray! I am so glad you're here. It is great that you come to join me every week. Apologies for getting this episode out a wee bit late. The goal was consistency, and I even think during the last episode I had mentioned I was concerned about getting the podcast out on time. As I say very often, this is a one-woman operation. You know, I've shared before, there were times, like when this podcast first started, I did have a crew of one. At one point, it sounds glamorous saying this, I had a virtual assistant, but I don't have the funds for that any longer, so it's back to one-woman operation. I guess the silver lining in that is I've learned to edit a little bit faster and a little bit better. So everything is always a learning experience. Additionally, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and the goal today is to record 2 episodes because I have time and a lot on my mind. So hopefully in a week, the next episode will be back to being on time. But even that, like, being on time is subjective because this podcast can be aired on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I still have not, I know consistency is the key, but I'm doing good with all that I have going on in my life. Just getting the podcast out for weekly. Once we get the weekly thing going, and I'm almost what I consider hopefully consistent, then I'll pick a day and try to stick with it. Baby steps. Ladies, gentlemen, and others, baby steps. Moving on, make sure that you rate the podcast. I say this because on one hand, I feel like it's spectacular. Part of the motivation in being weekly is looking at my ratings and seeing that my listenership is growing. That is a positive, great feeling. But on the flip side, it's like I don't have any, not too many 5-star ratings. And the only reason I stress it is because when you get those ratings, your podcast is more accessible, it's more seen, right? And I just looked right before the show started, and when I was looking at my reviews, they were good. But the thing that was like disturbing to me was under the you might also like, the first thing that popped up is the Candace Owens show. Yeah, you know, it's like at the beginning of the show's conception, I was trying to be very like neutral and, well, you know, I don't really want to give my feelings about, you know, this and that, and I'm like, bump that now. I'm going to say what's on my mind. This is my outlet to do so. So with that mentality being said, I don't like Candace Owens. No, you know, I don't want to sound judgy, but I'm judging. I don't care for her. I don't want it. And while we're on the subject of Candace Owens, please, ladies, gentlemen, and others, make sure you go and vote. All U.S. citizens 18 and above have the opportunity to vote. Yes, you know, they do take the rights away if you're convicted of a felony, and you know, you have to go back and do whatever you do. I don't know, unfortunately, because I am not convicted of any felonies. To reestablish your voting rights, but everyone has the right to vote. I am not going to act like I'm holier than thou. I have not voted yet. I'm not planning on voting November 3rd. I paused there just for fun. But I am going to early vote, and in my state it starts on Monday, and I was going to early vote probably Wednesday, Thursday, maybe even Tuesday. Definitely not Monday, just because I don't want to stand in a very long line through all the people who are super excited to vote. I actually have a mail-in ballot as well, just because I wasn't sure if I was going to show up early or mail in my ballot, and I decided I would go ahead an early vote because I feel like the shenanigans are going to happen, and I just don't want to parlay in any shenanigans regarding this election. So we'll see what happens. I just know I'm shenanigan free. Pretty random, but yeah. And so look, it's funny in my new basement studio, I get very distracted because there's a crystal clear like glass door, and I can see everything outside. And I saw a mosquito, and I thought it was inside. Not that you kicked them. All right, so today's show is going to be about red flags. It was inspired by a post that I read online. I normally don't like to deal in mess with the show, but it's so much to unpack here. I'm going to read this. Originally, I was debating if I was going to read it in its entirety or not. I decided I would. Please make note, this is not me. This is a person seeking advice from a source online, and I'm just going to go ahead and read it. Here we go. Okay, I've been going back and forth about an issue. My boyfriend has made it very clear that he will not be going to see his son without me and his other kids. And I think it's only fair because he'll be using my car. All right, I have to interject right there. Just stop for a minute. Why is he using your car? If we're talking grown people over the age of 25, they should have their own car. I'm judging. All right. I made it clear that I would ride down to North Carolina as it would be the first time for my boyfriend to ever see his son in person. Pause again. First time of your boyfriend seeing his son. Okay. My boyfriend has been ignoring his baby mama calls because he just doesn't feel like dealing with her. Yeah, he's a very confrontational man. Let's keep reading. So the baby mom called me saying that she needs my boyfriend to be more than a financial father, but a physical father, and he needs to pick up the phone sooner or later to talk to his son. Yeah. I'm already wondering, this is just me, teacher Seth, interjecting. Why is the new girlfriend already in the mix? That's not a good look. Let's keep reading. I have asked the girlfriend, what's the problem with me riding down to North Carolina? My boyfriend wants to see his son, and I don't have to be wherever you guys are. The girlfriend's response was, I'll pray on it and let God take control. Okay. So we're going to incorporate God into the situation. That's already a mess. Let's keep going. So the other day, the boyfriend and I got into it because I was sick. No, I'm sorry. The other day, the baby mom and I got into it because I was sick of her complaining to me and asking her about our situation. The boyfriend wants to come down, but she's not going to allow it because I'll be there. So you want him to pick up the phone, but you're calling at 7 a.m. and 10:30 p.m. when he works overnight, so he's sleeping. At first, she was complaining about not getting the full financial help you need. So I, meaning the girlfriend, stepped in and helped. But that's now not good enough. Girlfriend is stepping in and paying for a baby that's her boyfriend and this mystery woman. That red flag. Let's keep going. All right, so she's basically saying that the baby mom is saying that the girlfriend should not be around her child. It's just a mess. I'm not even going to read the rest of this mess. But what I'm saying is red flags. When I read this, I was aghast at all the red flags that this woman has regarding her boyfriend. The boyfriend has a 1-year-old child that he's never met, a baby mom, because I don't know if this woman was at one point a girlfriend or whatever. I'm not trying to figure it out. But, that situation. The new girlfriend is sending money down to the baby mom because the boyfriend can't do it. And the moral of the story is this has red flags galore. And then on top of all that, when it was shared, a lot of people were giving their 2 cents, and the original poster was like, "But that's not what I'm asking." I'm like, okay, you're stuck on stupid. Let's just call it what it is. You're stuck on stupid, and when people are trying to give you advice onto how to unstuck yourself, you're not hearing it. So, people like that, I don't want to say you want the worst for them because I don't know them. But basically, you cannot help them. They are going to have to find out themselves. They are going to have to find out the hard way. Which goes back to what was mentioned, the quote from Maya Angelou at the top of the show. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. This individual has red flags galore. I mean, it's like driving in a car. Stoplight here, stoplight there, stoplight everywhere. And rather than listen to the advice that honestly you were seeking anyway, it's all about, well, that's not what I'm asking right now. I want to know whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. I'm like, well, what we're telling you is you're dumb. I mean, I hate to be like that because it's very negative, but it is what it is. We've all been there. We've all done stupid things. But this is what, you're dumb, and we're asking you, look at the situation. Do you realize you're being used? Do you realize this and that? And you get mad, you get defensive, and you're like, but that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, should I be mad, or should she have the right to tell me I can't be present when my boyfriend meets his son for the first time? I'm like, you shouldn't be present. In fact, this is a fine time to leave, to be quite honest. Pack your stuff and go. Because it sounds like, and to backtrack, actually, there are just people in this world who love drama. I am not one of them, thank goodness. But there are many, many people who just like to be involved in mess and messiness and just, thrive. That's the word I'm looking for. People thrive on drama. And, who am I to judge them? No, I'm kidding. I'm going to judge them, because these same people are going to come back and cry and pout about, well, this and well, that, blah, 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 blah. Kind of tying it into business. People intentionally like to set others up and, I don't want to say do the worst, but set up the situation where they, oh, look, they're getting their rocks off. They're being amused because they're bored. And it's kind of funny, It's like, I've never intentionally wanted to see any drama on my part at work. I just don't. It's not my thing. Now, other people's stuff, okay, I'll sit back and let me be like Michael Jackson in the theater and pop some popcorn, if you've ever seen that meme. But me, myself personally, no. I don't want to be involved in drama or other people's drama. I don't want my name involved. Now, sitting back and watching others, that's a whole nother situation. But like I said before, me, myself, personally, no way, no how. So that's kind of my rant about just, not getting yourself involved in other people's drama. And also, also be careful about giving advice. I try not to give advice unless asked. Unsolicited advice, I don't know, it depends on the person. Like, I generally, I like and I don't like unsolicited advice. It depends on who is giving me the advice. Somebody that I feel like really knows what they're talking about, by all means, yeah. But if it's just someone just, jaw jacking and want to hear their own voice, I don't want to hear it. Yeah. So that was kind of my abstract rant for the top of the show. Just like I said, the moral of the story is when you see a red flag, freeze, stop, pay attention. That's all. Let's move on. Okay, we're back for the second segment of the show, and I know every week for the past couple of weeks I've been talking about user testing. I hope that you really are listening out, because last week I wasn't so big on my journey with user testing. I think the last time I recorded for the show, I made like $10, whatever it was like nothing really worth talking about. Then last Friday, like not yesterday, but a week prior, I was by myself. I set up my computer at my kitchen table just on a whim. I opened up user testing, and something happened that never happened before. I was rocking and rolling that night. I don't remember the exact amount, but I made like maybe in an hour, maybe it was 2 hours, $50, $60, right? I can't lie, I was even surprised myself because it was done on a whim. Meaning like, let me go see what these fools are talking about. So, that was one night. And it was funny because, like, from that point on, user testing and myself were for real, rocking and rolling. I was so surprised. And by the time the week's end, I ended up making I'll give you two numbers. $210 for the week, but then I made $30 the day after the full week stopped. So it was $240 in my opinion. But either way, I have to say I was really proud of myself. Like I qualified for a couple $30 tests, and any of the tests that are more than $10, you're gonna have to be with another individual on Zoom to do a test, which is fine. I don't care. I just want money. And then I did two $60 tests, and they were awesome. Each one of these tests is not longer than 30 minutes, and the $60 tests were like cool. Like it's funny with the $60 test that the people involved, you could tell, are in Silicon Valley or out west, wherever they do the computer stuff. I don't know, Washington State. So, like I said, I walked away with I'll give you two numbers, $210, $240 for the week. So I was really excited. And the best part about that is it's one of those situations where it's like good things come to those who wait. When you get finished with the test and you see your money in your account, you don't actually get paid. Like you really don't get that money until 7 days later. So it's kind of like nice now for the next couple of days. I get money just magically falling into my PayPal account. And I cannot lie, that is always a good feeling. I'm like, yeah, wasn't expecting that, but happy about it. Awesome. So, I'm going to be getting little rain droplets of money for the next couple of days, and I'm very excited about that. All right, so I just wanted to share that. I have something else I'm going to share in the next show, but I'm pretty excited about user testing. It rocks. The money is good, and hopefully it can help pay for some bills. Lastly, let's talk about guests. All right, so at the inception of the show, I had guests, way more guests than I have now. The issue is the reason I stopped with guests is not because I don't like talking to guests. I actually do, but it was a scheduling issue for me. I record when I can. I say it often. I work full time. I'm a full-time mom. I have a pretty big, I'll just go ahead and say it. I think I mentioned it a couple weeks ago, but currently I'm going through separation, divorce, and, it's funny because I often hear people say, I had a nervous breakdown. None of that. I'm not going to have a nervous breakdown anytime soon, hopefully. No, I'm fine. But it's just a lot on my plate, and at times I get really just tired. And, my next episode, I already know what I'm going to go on a rant about, but, like I said, I have a lot going on. So my issue is I like to kind of have a free flow show in a sense where, I do what I do. I record when I get time, and I don't like scheduling interviews because, as far as I can recall, I have never stood anyone up when it comes to interviews. If you schedule an interview with me, I'm going to be there. In the very super rare event I can't, I'm going to let you know I'm pretty professional. That's the issue. I have been stood up before with interviews. Now, I'll be honest, most people I have interviewed, the majority are there. They're ready to rock and roll. But to be stood up is a pain in the butt. And I got so much other stuff going on. I have to literally squeeze time in for interviews. And as of now, I just don't have the time. So I'm saying this because the popularity of the show has been growing, and I'm grateful for that. But I'm getting in my inbox right now people who want to come on the show, which normally I'm like, yay. But then I'm like, they want to plug their products. I get it. I'm like, but I don't know. Maybe they're exciting. I don't know. I was going to say maybe, I don't know. But I'm kind of on the fence about going back to having interviews. On one hand, I like it. Some of the interviews, especially the last few that we had, have been awesome. I could go back, name some people that I think I just love interviewing. My favorite guest so far is Stacey Stiletto. I know she has a podcast out, and I will say the name of her podcast in a moment, because I haven't spoken with Stacey in a while. She's like definitely someone to look up to on the in my online world. And her podcast, I actually have heard it a few times. I'm trying to find the name because I want to plug it. Oh my gosh, I cannot find the name of her show. But I promise I'll put it in the show notes if I cannot find it by the time I'm done talking. But Petty by Nature podcast. Make sure you listen to the Petty by Nature podcast. Stacey is awesome. And she was probably my most favorite guest. I know we had Tamika Basil on here. She was awesome as well. Just entrepreneurs who are absence. I remember she was awesome. It's like I like guests who kind of align with my brand, my show, and those three really stick out. But not everybody. I'm not gonna say that. I'm just gonna say I'm still seeking what I'm gonna do regarding guests. I want to have guests, but I'll have to admit I'm kind of like on a whim when I get guests. For the most part, with the exception of maybe those 3 individuals I named, I really don't know much about beforehand, and it's like, oh, okay, So I don't know, but that's where we stand on guests. It's one of those big question marks. I'm not so sure how I feel about having guests. So that's about it for today. Here we are. Sorry about the late show, but life happens. It's great talking to you, and I hope you have an awesome week. Make sure you check me out on my social media, and yes, I know I've been neglecting it. One woman operation. I keep thinking about all that. I want to get my Facebook back up, and it is running. It just hasn't been updated in a while. Instagram, it's sad because Instagram is my favorite platform. Twitter, I actually have tweeted a little bit lately. I'm not a huge Twitter fan. I've said that 1,000,001 times. Pinterest, I was rocking and rolling at one point, but I kind of slowed down. Kind of ties into going back to work, but it is what it is. And one woman operation. All right. Have an awesome week. Bye-bye.